I'm a little bit sick, so if I get unclear, let me know. Please.
Interpretation of the plan must explicitly overrule decision in the plan, identifying new precedents distinct from a ruling distinguished which fundamentally different from legal concept. This Gilfus 98 distinguished demonstrate that apparently similar cases so sufficiently different from the case that hand is of limited value as precedent be a violation of ruling is performed in that case not overruled. There is a specific utterance is done 2K3. A case not overruled until we can point to single identifiable utterance which court intends the act of ruling to hold otherwise to violate the act of ruling. Namely, the author of an opinion must intend for a performed act to take place. Some examples which clearly thus confirm the subsequent case the law has been overruled. The holding in Pollock can see the negative interpretation is superior. 1A. 1 is predictability. Failure to have overruled apply crush negative ability. 2. Prepare 2 is they destroy the negative ground by crushing your ability to run DAs and counterply and take links on the act of overruling. They don't reward their blatant attempt to sidestep key arguments of the productive topic. Education 3 is limits there is infinite number of alternative ways to affirmative right their plan to change one or of the precedent established in topic areas of war secretary. They can add anything to the plan which will allow them to skew our ability to compete in DS topicalities voting issue for fairness education and abuse. Next office criticism. Subpoint A is the links. So when you see engaged in depoliticized notion of view of the economy, this assumes the plan never realizes the reason of politics and instead engages in minor modifications or the capital is not to serve the Zizek 99. The big new state's post-political age is that the radical depoliticization of the economy as long as fundamental depoliticization is acceptable to talk about active initiative or main limited issues of way of life differences. We can see why today's post-politics not in the properly political dimension universal because it's not to include the sphere of economy from politicization. We'll talk about new form of politics bursting out over all this incessant activity of fluid shifting ideas of building multiple ad hoc coalitions. The result was the obsession of neurotic walks around all the time otherwise frantically active precisely in order to assure that something what really matters will not be disturbed, that it will remain immobilized. Proper political act would necessarily entail the repoliticization of the economy. And the affirmative belief in the law's act of oppression, kowtowing the system ideology, ignores nonsensical and often dominating nature of the law that is keen in 2004. One lives to say the nation by sacrifice for moral cause in which one believes this cause, which one believes give meaning to the law. At the same time, primordial sacrifice mother belief involves being led along by law without acknowledging its nonsensical character. One believes there is a meaning to the law. One believes it makes sense. The dead sense slaughter of the law, even unconsciously. Belief is the lack of acknowledgement, nonsensical traumatic character for the law function. Normally, its dependence on the law and its process of initiation or radically contingent character must be repressed in the unconscious through the ideological imaginary experience of the meaning of the law as foundational justice, truth, or a more modern way. Functionality belief is safe only if one in the wish community communes its hidden is subject to concealment. Safe belief serves to hide the sacrifice of women's danger culture economy is a sacrificial economy. And their appeal to globalization is savior locks in the system of capital rationality makes exclusion a necessary component of politics of Mazaros in 95. The term globalization has really become a buzzword, but actually kind of globalization feels on the rule of capital carefully avoid as much as they assume the globalization very nature unproblematical and it leads to necessarily positive development, brings in commendable or concerned process of globalization and itself through the strength of capital's dynamic center domination and exploitation, bringing in a way of going in the wake of growing inequality and economic hardship for the overwhelming majority of people. All this being left outside very legitimate question for the answer to the critical scrutiny might conflict with politics pursued by the dominant capitalist power of the collaboration with the third world, the ongoing globalization under development countries offer nothing but the perpetual differential rate of exploitation that's illustrated by the newly established U.S. factories. And the northern border of Mexico workers are no more than 7% of the income of American labor force doing the same job in California. The absolute European colonial domination rule has to be declared nothing less than very death. That's the reason it was therefore just too bad for the Mexican world. The lofty design the world trade assign them a forever subordinate and pauperized position. The great scheme of things there was nothing could be done without violating the requirements of reason itself. Nothing could be considered more reprehensible than our really destined to live forever in the spell of capital's global system, glorified in the elegance, conceptualization, resigned to the tranquil exploitative world spirit. Subway B is ethics. Capitalism naturalization process subjugation creates exclusion on a global scale. The ultimate ethical political responsibilities challenge the foundation of the system for organizing principles in Zizek and Daly in 2K4. Our ethical political responsibilities confront the constitutive violent states, global capitalism, see naturalization, so 7 millions who are subjugated by it throughout the world. Zizek arguing for politics to focus on very organized principles, state social create a universal global system versus capitalism, seek to conceal the political discursive balancing search to a kind of gentrification of the system, the gentrification of global capital, and reproducing depends on the disavowed balance that exists that excludes vast sectors of the world population. The neoliberal ideology attempts to naturalize capitalism by presenting the outcomes of winning and losing it. They're simply a matter of chance and sound judgment in the neutral marketplace. The cost in human terms of inherent global poverty and degraded life chance cannot be calculated within the existing economic rationale, and social exclusion remain mystified and nameless. The mystification is magnified through capitalism, pride, capacity, adjustment, access, negativity, redux, social antagonism, absorb them within culture of differential affirmation. Zizek argues for a new universal and primary ethical corrective to confront the fact that our forms of social existence are found in found exclusion on a global scale. What is not about Zizek's universal is not attempt to conceal this fact or reduce the status object of the true glitch and otherwise sound matrix, and the affirmative attempt to provide guidelines for ethics within the existing political framework engage in radically depoliticized notion of ethics. Only our ethic which is willing to risk the impossible can establish necessary conditions for a politicized ethical stance. Zizek Daily 2K4. Our confrontation with the insidious abundance of capitalism requires to transform the ethical political imagination or question developing ethical elements in the existing political framework by developing the politicization of ethics. Starting point is and accepting human beings all to be responsible for our actions being up the world, including the construction of capitalism itself. And ethics to the real is not simply diverting the impossible and masterwise and already marks each action failure, but such an ethical one that fully accept contingent nonetheless for rigorously possible in the sense of bringing out a standardized position. Ethics means we cannot rely on any form of symbolic other one doors or indecision in action. Zizek affirms ethical identification, which all turn form militancy must worship form must be militant with themselves. They must not be relying on any external / higher authority and development political imagination. It exhorts us to risk the impossible. Subpoint C is the fetish. Our alternative is completely withdraw from the ideology of capital. This act is essential to trade federal which allows capital to exist. The alternative is not belief in a system which collapses the ability to steer our existence. Johnson 2K4. The absence of detailed political roadmap and strategic reasoning is a major shortcoming. They must more test and believe negativity of critical struggle. They have to cure intellectual constipation relying from the capitalist ideology, thereby truly open up space for imagining authentic alternative prevailing state of situations seen through the ideological fantasy and learning how to think again outside the capital the system outside the current confines or the current restrictions has in and of itself the potential to operate as form real revolutionary practice. The external obstacle of the capital system exists exclusively on the condition that subjects internally believing the capitalist light bombs is simply a fetishistic crucialization of belief in others or associate perform force emanating from the same material. At this point, capital frail vulnerability simultaneously the source of its enormous strength of empiric symbiotic individual desiring the fact that late capitalists in fact and disavow of his her de facto belief in capitalism makes it highly unlikely that people can simply be persuaded to stop believing and start thinking face the choice being limited capital's higher resting a certain present truth many individuals might well deliberately decide to accept what they know will be a false pseudo reality is deceptively coming to fiction and calls for direct action or short-sighted stopgap in thinking the need to liberate thing from hegemony of capitalism makes alternative a precondition for political change as Johnson 2K4. Given the contemporary exhaustion socio-political imagination of the hegemony of capitalism, liberation thinking itself from the concentrates the first course stop must be taken. If anything can be changed from Marx called direct concrete action must be inverted given new prevailing conditions of late capitalism. Now one must resist the coming temptation to short-circuit thinking in favor of actions. Since also fresh actions are doomed to either fail to disrupt capitalist ideology or co-opt by its point is cap is bad judge. Their claims based on capitalist ontology would succeed what seems reasonable possible, accepting the definition for prevent radical change as Hall in 88. The circle of dominant ideas does accumulate symbolic power, map and classify the world for others. Classification do not result in constraining power, dominance over other modes of thought, and the internal authority habit and instinct becomes the right and makes work. And the world and instinct, it becomes what the world is and how it works, showing it is made dominate our conception social world by saying the limit will appear rational, reasonable, credible, indeed sayable, and thinkable within the given vocabulary, mode for action available to start down sides possessing power they have to contain the limits of the truth to frame, even within the circumference, all reason, calculation of social groups, and their argument is all hype the promise of globalization, but empty for nations who are not heralded by capital. This Shaw in 2005. Globalization of fast-paced growth across trade border investments on the far less to raise incomes to world poorest people than the leaders had. The vast majority of people living in Africa, Latin America, Central Asia, major leaders are no better off than they were in 1988 with evolved global all the capital spread worldwide to rapid rather than unstoppable force development. Globalization now seems much more like it tempers promising riches, but often not delivering. And only the alternative solves for poverty. This Shaw in 2005. The impoverished of the developed world is understandable and learn how to plunder by trade locks in the world with violence and war. Limiting poverty is not philosophically complicated. Eliminate the monopolization of land, technology, and finance capital. Eliminating those monopolies will instantly distribute a share of wealth to all members of society. And the excess of capital make elimination of poverty impossible. This Shaw 2005. If it is this simple, why didn't the poor down this simple? I think we have things like politics, greed, dominance, politics, the international economic institutions that have been able to push through policies which are known to be destructive. The effects of colonialism are still found in the same country, still poor, their resources still plundered away, and accumulation while still occurs almost exclusively in richer nations. Higher living standards are not indicative of progress of capitalism. This Shaw 2005. Today is a bit more complicated. We have products being exported to poor countries, however, the labor being paid less than fair wage in poor nations. The wealth is still accumulated by richer nations. While it might appear the free trade taking place, the wealth is accumulated by richer countries. It is still the age-old merged materialism processing play. Over and over again, trades now become so complex that only a few states powerful, aware of the waste and structure created by the continuation of neo-mercantile struggle for markets in the field. They are responsible for the world's impoverishing standards of living. They are not defending their rights. They are not only defending their rights, but everybody's right solutions, possibly because they have monopolized society's productive tools with the wealth they produce. Industrial capital become so productive that even as capital, resource, labor, indiscriminately consumed living standards called overcapitalized nations that continue to improve society are so accustomed to long term for improvement of living standards that they can be done much faster seems irrational. And structural inequalities increasing our political economies overturn the distribution of poverty. ER criticism offers the only hope for the elimination of poverty. Shaw 2006. Inequalities increasing around the world appears to globalize. Even the wealthiest nations, the large gap between rich and poor compared to other developed nations in politics and various interests have led to diversion of available resources and domestic. It needs Western market politics, power played by the elites and wars, and increased poverty and dependency. They have manifested themselves in wars, hot or cold, which have often been trade and resource-related. Poverty is also initial political economics, and their impact arguments are altruistic capital, help transnational corporations, not the poor. Shaw 2005. Far from the altruistic motive of seeing the poor countries to improve their industrial gap between rich poor globalization, therefore real estate efficient, low-cost Mediterranean transnational corporations take advantage of low wages, low taxes, weak regulation, vulnerable labor will penetrating economies in developing countries, and the capital solution conflict only translates to greater levels of violence that solve the vessels only postpone conflict. Mazaros 95, yeah. Politics will is nothing less than constitutional applications, treating metro capably profoundly affecting social development, the whole trend of your mere instrument, short segment, relation, completely avoiding comprehensive plan.
What was that last part?
Yeah.
Capital solution conflict only translates into greater levels of violence than it solves. Cool. That's only proposed conflict.
Cool.
Alright.
I ended on plan, right?
I have one quick question on that. On all these cards you've read, how do you know any of this is true? I've heard maybe one statistic, which is this Mexico example, that says people in Mexico are paid 7% the average American wage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how does that all beg the question of whether that is increasing or decreasing as a rate?
Our Shaw evidence indicates that if you take the data that your evidence is talking about and factor in the difference between developing and underdeveloped countries, that the rich-poor gap is actually
Wait,
increasing.
how do you know any of this? How do you know any of this? Where's that data? What is it? Developed
Yeah, I
countries,
mean,
what is
Shaw.
underdeveloped?
You make
Your
fun
Shaw
of
just
the-
asserts it.
Our Shaw does
Literally-
not assert it. Our Shaw says we
The
look
Shaw
at that.
evidence is based on the data that you, the same data that you have collected as well.
You just assert this, man.
Dude, I cut the article. It's based on all of the data that you have talked about. It's
Data
also talked
from
about a
the article?
collection of data of the same numbers, the things like gross domestic product, as well as
Who's Shaw, by the
corporations
way?
pay. Shaw
He's
is
an
the editor
editor?
of Global Issues. He has a PhD as well as a JD.
And
All right.
editor of Global Issues, which is what?
It's a place that collects data and analyzes it.
Okay. And
All
what?
right.
You didn't bring it back.
Okay, what is capital?
What is capital? Capital is the ideology that pervades your money you see as well as status
All right,
of society.
external
Yeah,
from
I
the
know,
one
and
I
I'm
see.
getting to where you're going and what you want to hear. Finish. All right. Capital is the ideology that pervades your money you see that allows things like the commodification of life, the ability to exploit people, etc.
Okay, I know what it allows, but what is it?
What is it?
You say it's something in the one
It's
I
an
see that
ideology.
allows exploitation. All right, what's the ideology of capital?
It's the belief that we can quantify things as resources that can be used in a strategic fashion in order to garner some sort
So
of
the
profit
use
or
of
wealth.
resources is capital.
The use of resources for strategic fashion to garner some kind of wage or advantage or wealth. All of your
So
arguments.
like your use of a laptop to cut evidence faster, is that capital?
Our use of a
Because you're using a
laptop,
resource to get a gain in evidence.
is that capital?
Yeah, are you coming to the ideology of capital and exploiting people when you
I
do
mean,
that?
you're right, we wear clothes. We are also
And
participants.
how do you
I'm-
withdraw from the
Yeah.
ideology of capital and still participate in it?
How do you withdraw?
How do you eat? How do you get food?
How
That
does the
food is
Supreme Court
produced
pass
by
your
capital.
plan? Our argument is that you will win
This
things
isn't a
that
question of
as
Supreme Court, this is a
individuals
question
that
of
we
how
do.
do you live
No,
under
this is
your
an argument.
framework as
Debate
a
is a
person?
testing
How
ground
do you
for us
live
to
as a
test.
person?
How do you buy food? How do you go home at night, do your homework, go to school, if that's all the ideology
Dude,
of
do you
capital?
lobby the Supreme Court to pass your
No,
economic
please ask him
rationale?
what happens in the world of the
They did,
alternative.
actually.
Our argument is that exactly those type of concerns are exactly how capital maintains itself. To believe that we can never exist outside of it. It may be difficult to imagine a world without capital, but that's the point. Our argument is that
Can you imagine
capitalism.
one at all?
I can try. It may be impossible.
What's it look like?
It may be difficult. What does it look
You
like?
wear
I mean,
like
it's
Our
Jack
Johnson
probably
evidence
crazy.
is really good on this
I
question.
mean, I can draw it on the board if you want.
Yeah.
Probably. There you go.
It'll be a smiley face and maybe a flower.